Hi friends, it's Diana here today, and today we're going to be doing a new hack. Y'all know I love a good hack, and when I saw this sweatshirt, I already knew exactly what patterns I wanted to use to recreate it. So let's do it together. Today I'm going to be using the Eclipse Raglan. This is a zip up. It's got a hood. It's super cute. It's obviously a raglan. It's got the color blocking at the sleeves. I think this is going to be perfect for the base of my sweatshirt that I'm recreating. And for the neckline, I'm going to be using the Arctic Pullover. It's a 3/4 zip that is a little bit more oversized, and it is very cute. So when I go to cut these patterns, I'm going to do them a little bit different. For the Eclipse, I'm going to be sizing up 2 sizes just because the Eclipse is more of a fitted pattern and I want this to be like more loose fitting. I'm also going to be cutting the front bodice into 1 piece instead of 2 pieces since I'm not doing a full zipper. I'll also cut the pocket into 1 piece instead of 2 pieces and the bottom waistband. I'm not going to be cutting out a neckband or a hood for this because I'm going to be using the neckband of the Arctic Pullover. Once I cut out my Eclipse bodice, I'm going to go over and pull up my Arctic Pullover, and I'm going to be cutting that out. From the Arctic Pullover, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting the neckband, and then I'm going to be using those instructions from the Arctic Pullover to create my 3/4 zip. I'm going to be creating my 3/4 zip a little bit longer, just because I wanted to sit a little bit lower and open up a little bit more. So that's all we're doing. Let's hope that it turns out as cute as it is in my head, or as cute as my inspiration. Let's get started. All right, friends, I am so excited to get started. Also a little nervous, but this is my trial run. So if for some reason I have to tweak it a little bit, I'm okay with that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I barely had enough of this fabric to cut this pattern out. This was a scrap fabric I had, and I was really scrapping at the fabric to be able to get enough to make this hack. So there are going to be a couple things that I'm going to show you that you're going to be like, why did you cut it like that? Well, because I didn't have very much fabric, but I cut everything of the Eclipse jacket. And what I did, like I said, the front here, I cut it on the fold, so it's 1 straight piece instead of 2 pieces. The pocket, I also cut on the fold, so it's 1 straight piece instead of 2 pieces. So we'll be attaching the pocket in a minute. Now for the waistband, that's when I had to cut it a little bit different. So I wanted to cut it in a way that the sides are the ones that are the where I'm gonna have the seams. I don't want the seam right at the front. So the way that the waistband is done, you have a seam up the front because it's opened, right? So that I was trying to figure out how I could do that. I'm still gonna have to probably have a seam at the front because I didn't have enough fabric to cut 1 straight piece, but I'm gonna show you when I'm going to attach it where you should cut it to create it, to create the seams on the side instead of the front. So you'll have a straight band in the front, seams on the sides, and then the curved on the back. Okay, and then I'm trying to think, everything else was cut out the same. Now from the Arctic Pullover, the only thing you need to cut is the neck piece, which I may recut that because what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure what my neck area circumference ends up being on this size Eclipse, and then create a neckband from that. I think I want it 1-to-1. So I think I'm not sure like what the ratio is from going from the one pattern to the next. So I think it's best that I go ahead and grab those measurements from my actual top, my Eclipse, and then create the band to go with it. Now I say create as in if I have a ton of fabric left over to create it. I don't. So we're gonna have to see how it goes. And if I don't have enough fabric, I may have to just use a different color fabric and just see how it goes. And then when I do my next version, then I'll be able to, you know, tweak those things. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get started with our pocket. I want to kind of put things together first before I do that zipper area because I need this neckline to kind of be put together. So I'm going to put sleeves on and stuff like that. So we're just going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll do the zip. Now, for the zip, I am going to do it a little bit longer, like I said, than the Arctic Pullover. So I'm going to go like almost to waist length here. So we're just going to have like at the tall, it's going to be about this long. So I'm going to go like somewhere probably about a couple of inches above from the pocket or so. So that way I have this nice zipper area here. Like I want it to kind of go down to right around here. So yeah, so I want it to be like go down maybe up an inch and a half or an inch from the pocket. But we'll go over that when we start when we start attaching the zipper. So the first thing we're going to do, like I said, we're going to focus on our pocket. So we're going to grab our pocket little bands or pocket bands. I couldn't think of the word. We're going to fold them wrong sides together, and we're going to attach it at the side, at the pocket side of the pocket, at the pocket entrance where you're going to put your hand in. I couldn't think of the word. The pocket side. Right sides together with your preferred stretch stitch. All right, now that the pocket's done, we're going to fold that top edge down a half an inch here, and we're going to place it over our front bodice, matching up the sides here. And you can go ahead and baste those sides together because we're gonna sew this layer with the sides of the bodice the next step. Or if you just want to pin them down, it's up to you what you want to do there. But basting them down would help to keep it from like moving when you're gonna sew the sides together. And then here at the center piece right here, at the where you created that crease, we're gonna top stitch that down. All right, our pockets are in, and I did baste the sides. Now we're gonna grab the sides of your bodice, and we're going to match up the sides of your with the sides of your sweater, and make sure that you're doing it the right way. And one way to know that is because you have the notches here that show you that I was putting it the wrong way, and I'm like, okay, why doesn't it match up? Okay, thank you for the notch. Make sure you always mark your patterns when you have something like that because it helps you to figure out exactly where it needs to go. So we're going to match them right sides together all the way down. After you sew this up, you can top stitch if you want. It's up to you. I may or may not. I'm not sure. I like the look of top stitching, but since this is just my trial version, I'm like, well, do I want to spend all the time top stitching or just leave it? But I may go ahead and top stitch it just because I think it will look really nice. All right, I decided to just give it a good steam and move on. So we're going to go ahead and sew on your back piece. So here's your back piece and here's your neckline area. And actually, we could just go ahead and sew on those shoulders first, and then we can work on that neckline area. And then we'll do the rest of it later. It's a little bit different than what I'm doing, than what you do in the tutorial, but because this is a little bit different as a different project, I want to have my neckline before I do my zipper. So that's why I want to sew this up first. And then I'll close up the bottom and put the waistband on and the sleeves and everything. Just go sew that up. All right, time for what I think is the scariest part of this whole situation. The neckband. And you're asking, why are you measuring your wrist? Because I can't remember which ones I cut out for my neckband and which one is for my wrist, because I'm pretty sure I cut. Is this for my band? If this is my band and this is my two cuffs, where is my neckband? Okay, I think this is supposed to be my neckband, but it's a little bit small. So now to figure out how much interfacing we need to put at the neck, because we're going to need a little bit of interfacing here where we're going to add that zipper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how tall this is. So this is 3 inches, okay? And then I'm going to measure how tall I want my zipper here. You can measure your zipper here. And honestly, because I'm just eyeballing it, I really could just measure how far down I'm going on my zipper. So from my neckline all the way, I think I want my zipper to go like all the way to like 8.5 or 9. I want my zipper to be like long. So yeah, I'm going to do 8.5 here. So I'm going to cut a piece of interfacing 8.5 by probably 1.5 inches wide. So it's so it can fit my whole zipper. 1.5 is how wide my zipper is. So let's cut it by 2. So 8.5 inches by 2, and I'm going to put a piece of interfacing here at the center of my bodice on the inside, which is what's going to help my zipper stay. All right, so here at the neck area where we put the interfacing, we're going to measure down the center. So let me find that center again. I feel like I had it and then I lost it. So I'm going to fold in half again and just make sure I press that so I can see that center line. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw it with a water soluble marker. Now I got to see how long I want my zipper to be, and I do want it kind of to go all the way pretty close down to the bottom. I think, let's see, if I start my neck, yeah, kind of want it to go, oh, I said 8.5, right? And then I want my zipper to be, my zipper is 1/2 inch, that zipper tape is 1/2 inch wide on each side. So I'm going to go 1/4 inch where I'm sewing. So I'm just marking that 1/4 inch. That's going to be my stitch line. Now that I've got that, I'm going to cut about 2 inches from the top here down that center line. And we're going to attach our neckband. All right, so now the next step is to go ahead and attach our neckband. And I measured my old neckband with my new neckband, the one that I cut out using the Arctic Pullover, and they were the same size. So I'm using that one because it is wider. And what I need to do now is to grab and mark my back point of my bodice, and then the back point of the center point of my neckband. And we're going to match up that back here. And you're matching right sides together, but the neckband is not folded. It's just straight because you're going to fold it later. And then you're going to stretch to the front. And go around the other way, doing the same exact thing. You're just kind of stretching it to fit. I'm going to go and sew that up. All right, let's prep your neckline. So we're going to grab our bodice here. And what we're going to do is, so I have my collar is now attached. Mark your collar 1/2 point. So like do a steam so you have a crease there. So I know that that's going to be where I fold my collar. I know that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to come to this line is where I'm going to finish up my zipper. That's where the zipper is going to end up. And that'll be like a little bit over 1 inch. From the pocket, 1.5 inches away from the pocket is where I want to end up. You may want a zipper smaller, you may want it longer, it's up to you. And so that's where my zipper is going to go. And so the top of my zipper is going to end up here at the edge. And I can trim up the zipper later. I'll just cut it and fold it and tuck it in. It'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our box here, and we're going to start here at the top, and we're going to sew a straight stitch all the way down, making it a little bit smaller as I get down this way, go over and up all the way to create the box here, so that we can give it some stability and stuff. So let's go do that. All right, now that we have this part here all trimmed out, we're going to use our ruler, and we're going to measure 1/4 inch up from the edge. And that's the point. And on that point, we're going to pivot over to the lines. So we're going to have this little triangle there. So then we're going to use our scissors, and we're going to cut all the way down, going to those corners. Now you want to go all the way to the corners, but you don't want to cut the thread. There we go. Now we're ready to add the zipper. Okay, we're going to grab our zipper, and we're going to line it up here, right sides together. So I'm going to open up the zipper, right sides together here. That zipper bottom goes all the way to the edge. Make sure your zipper, you're lining it up. Make sure your zipper goes all the way to that, stop it right there. And you're kind of aligning it right sides together. And you're going to sew it up. Actually, let me do pins. Now, sometimes I tell you, if you want to do this part with basting stitch first, you sure can do that first, baste it first, and then sew it. But I like to just go for it. And I'm going all the way up to where that crease is. Like I said, I'm going to trim this zipper later. So that's fine if I have a little bit of extra. We're just gonna trim that off once we're done sewing. We're gonna get rid of this top part right there. Just kind of flip it over and stitch it. So that way when I sew this together, we're gonna, because we're gonna get rid of it that way. So yeah, so we're just gonna fold it that way and get rid of the rest of it. So we're gonna sew all the way down to sew on that zipper. And we're gonna go all the way down to that point right there where I make my mark. I'm gonna start at that line, that crease. I'm gonna move my zipper stopper up so that way it will be out of the way. All right, the first part of our zipper is done, and I'm gonna close up my zipper all the way up, and then I'm going to flip this over. So my zipper is now facing up like this, right? We're gonna flip this one over because that's gonna face right on top of it, and that's how we're going to sew it. Before we do that, we wanna make sure that we line it up nice and we mark it where my line is here, right? Because you wanna see exactly where the line is, because that's where you want your seam right here to match up, right? You want that seam to be even there. If it's not even, if you don't mark it evenly, it most likely is not going to be even. So you got to mark it. Then we're going to flip over and we're going to place this right over. Make sure that seam is right there where it needs to be. Oh, let's use, oh, my pins are over there. So we're just going to clip it for now and grab the pins later. So this part right here, you need to make sure that that's really nice and on where it needs to be. And then this goes right up to that crease that we have right here. The half point crease. Make sure you start at the crease and you're going to go all the way down on that other side. Let's hope it all turns out really cute. All right, once I'm done sewing, when you open it up, it'll look like this. You'll have the little triangle there, right? So what you want to do is you want to flip that triangle to the back. So we're going to open it up and flip it to the back. And like I said, I accidentally went, my zipper is farther than the thing. So what I'm going to stitch over this, but I'm going to be so careful I don't break a needle because I'm going to be going over my zipper. Now, if you would have had this farther up, you would be down here. But I don't want to see any of that emptiness, so I went over my zipper. We're just going to take it really easy. Actually, I'm just going to leave my foot there. Just go the other way. Because we're just going to stitch right over where that line is. Now I'm gonna go backwards over. Now I have a plastic zipper, so it's okay, like my needle just kind of glides over it. But if it's a metal zipper, you may wanna be really careful with that. Okay, so now that's stitched. So when you turn it this way, it looks so nice. Your little box is finished. And now you can go ahead and move on to the next step and make sure that this lined up correctly there. Oh, that looks really good. Good looking zipper, if I say so myself. Okay, we're gonna open up our zipper and turn it inside out. And like I said, I'm gonna be trimming this zipper up here. I'm just kind of trimming it. And trim the other one right at the half. Okay. So now we're gonna grab this and fold it right over. Oh, that was not the half. I'm gonna make sure that it is the half. So I need to trim a little bit more. All right, so we're gonna fold that neck over and then we're going to fold that seam allowance here up, and we're going to stitch this down. I'm gonna use a straight stitch right here to catch our zipper in. And honestly, y'all, I should not have trimmed my zipper so short. I should have made my zipper go out, like folded it out like this, because I don't want it to fly out when I'm wearing it. So when I go to sew it, I'm just gonna like reinforce it right there at the edge. That way it doesn't fly out when I'm like pulling my zipper up. I don't want my zipper pull to fly out. Okay, so we're top stitching that, catching this right here, and then I'm kind of gonna go straight, but at the end I'll kind of fix it there so it's not gonna do anything. All right, we're gonna sew that straight right there. All right, moment of truth. We're gonna flip this over, and there's our one side, and flip it, and here's our other side. Oh, that looks really good. That looks really, really good. And it matches up evenly. That's pretty perfect. And so now we're gonna go ahead and go in and top stitch this whole neckline. Trim some of these threads. You know what is so funny? This is my tester, and now I'm like, this looks so good. I hope I have enough of the waistband to finish it up because everything else looks so good. I mean, like, look at it. Just like, look at this part of it. It looks so good. Okay, so right here, I'm going to fold this seam allowance, keep it fold down over that seam, and we're just gonna top stitch. Want to top stitch all that. I'm also going to top stitch, if you want to top stitch around the whole front of the zipper placket area, you can do that as well. I don't know if I will or not. I may not until later. If I decide to later, maybe I'll top stitch later, but we're going to top stitch all the way around to top stitch that stitch down. Now that we are done with that zipper, we can breathe a sigh of relief. Look at it. Wait, not really, because now I am really committed to this. So I love how it's turning out, but I am so worried because of the fact that I pretty much ran out of fabric. So I have some things that I need to fix. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and attach the sleeves. I want to do that first. So I'm going to grab my sleeve and I'm going to match it up with my bodice. And this is the back. So I want to make sure, yeah, towards the back with that side where my sleeve goes. And we're going to attach them right sides together. All right. I'm going to go sew that up. While we're at it, I can go ahead and prep some things. So I've got my back band. So here it is. Again, I cut off the two edges and I'm going to I have all these pieces. I think these are my front bands. No, they're not. This must have been my neck and I used the wrong thing. Maybe this was supposed to be my neck band. Not the other thing I used for my neck band. So let's see. This one's a little bit bigger. Oh man, I don't even know if I have enough of my band. This is why I told you all I wasn't sure of how this was gonna go. All right, let's find our cuffs. Maybe this is what these are. These are the cuffs. Maybe this is, how big is this band? All right, let's prep our cuffs. We're gonna match our cuff right sides together here at the edges. Oh, I found what I think is the band. Let's make sure. Y'all, I'm struggling over here. Yes. Whew. I thought I had used the band, what I thought was the band for the neckband. And I was like, no. Okay, so this is so what I did is when I cut out the band, the band goes like this, and then it has this piece that goes straight. So you would have this straight piece that comes out here. Usually it goes that way because this is the front of the band where there's an opening here. I don't have an opening in the front, all the way down, just quarter zip. So what I wanted to do is I wanted the front to be whole. So what I did is I cut the band. I stopped at what I thought might be the sides, which there's probably a better way to do this, measuring not the pattern actually. And then I made the other side, the other, I cut it, the rest of it, I cut it in the fold. So I would have the sides. So now I'm going to attach here on the sides. And we're going to hope that this all fits nicely. Again, this is my tester trial. So we'll see how it goes. All right. And then the cuffs, we're going to grab our cuff and match them right sides together at the raw edge and sew. I'm so excited about this. So I hope it turns out as good as it looks in my mind. I'm so excited. All right, time to sew up the sides. We're gonna grab the bodice and we're gonna fold it right sides together. We're gonna match up those raw edges. Last steppity step is adding all the bands. Oh yeah, we're almost done. Okay, cuffs. I'm gonna grab a cuff. We're gonna fold it wrong sides together. Meeting at the raw edges. And I do want to find like my half from this edge to this edge. We'll find that half. And then my half of my my sleeve here. And we're gonna fit this in and match it up right sides together. I like to match the seams together. And we're gonna be kind of lightly stretching to fit as we sew. And then do the same for my waistband. We're just gonna match up the sides and go to the front and back to mark the front and back. Because I wasn't super perfect on what was the front or the back of my band, I'm gonna measure and try to figure that out. So we're gonna fold it wrong sides together to create the band. Cut in all these XX threads. XX threads. Okay. I can already tell that the band is longer than the back band, the front band. It's okay. It's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the peak of the back band. Move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I've got a mess here. So here's my peak of my back band. And this is it's going to be my back. And then we're going to fold it and go to the front of to the other side of the band, and that will be my front. Then I'm going to match the front and back and go to the sides. And again, hold on, let me do this and then I'll tell you about how much I am off, in case you're wondering. Because I'm literally only off by like an inch, but an inch and a half. So that means that the back band expands a little bit longer. And what you could do is you could measure all the back first, like sew this up first, and then measure the back and figure out the width of the band. If you want to do 1-to-1, or if you wanted to stretch in a little bit, if you wanted to stretch a little bit, you want to do 90. I like to do 1-to-1 on bands a lot of times because they're looser. I don't like them to be super tight. So that's up to you. And now we're going to go ahead and attach right sides together. So the skinny part is going to go right here at the front. Make sure that you're catching all 4 layers because you've got your front pocket here, your kangaroo pocket. And then match those points, those half points with your seams. And obviously the back. I'm going to sew all this up and we'll be done. I'm excited. I'm so glad I was able to have fabric for all of it. And I didn't even have to like, I don't know, like, I didn't have to like scout the scraps for enough. Like, look, this is how much I have left. Like, this looks like a big piece, but it isn't. This is the biggest piece I had. Still not very big. And they're all like little scraps. Ah, I'm so excited. Excuse me while I freak out a little bit because what? This looks so good. Oh my word. Y'all, I am obsessed. Hold on. Let me put down my mic. It turned out so good. I am so excited. I thought I was not going to have enough fabric. I'm like, we'll just make it anyway. I'm so glad I did not give up on this though, because amazing. I love it. What do you all think? I'm going to be making more of these hacks because it is so cute and it was so simple to make. No hassle. I love it so much. Comment below and let me know what you think. Does this need to be a pattern? I think so because this is gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss any of the hacks that we do on here and all the sewing tutorials. I hope you have a great rest of your day and we'll see you next time.